G'day and welcome to the NRL Round 24 preview. There's one round to go, so let's get to the ladder straight away. There's no time to waste. Look at this, spots 3, 4 and 5. The top 4 scramble. Raiders, Seagulls and Rabbitohs. It's all up for grabs. Eels look safe in the middle there, of course. Now, 7 and 8, Sharks and Broncos. This is where a lot of the interest is. And look behind them, we've got the Tigers and the Panthers right up the Broncos Hooters. And you've got the Knights and the Bulldogs can mathematically make it. I'm just about going to call them out though. And to be honest, I think the Tigers are the only ones that can actually dislodge one of those teams above them. Now, the ladder this week brought to you by Wayne Bennett's Dance Academy. After the stirring emotional win last week, Wayne has gone into the Rabbitohs dressing rooms after beating the Broncos and Anthony Seibold. Absolutely dancing with a bit of Saturday Night Fever. If you haven't seen the video, watch it please. It was exceptional. The players were giddy-upping and yahooing. Now, on the back of that, Wayne's decided to start his own dance academy for people of his own vintage. So anyone over 90, give Wayne a call. He'll teach you the Bronco Bash, the Clint Eastwood, the Old Man Shuffle, and if you're really good, after midnight he'll teach you the Darius, the Forbidden Dance. Alright, let's get to it. Round 24 is kicking off in Townsville. It's 14th versus 12th. It's the Cowboys versus the Bulldogs. Now the Bulldogs, you think the Ben Stokes Ashes victory is miraculous. If the Bulldogs make the top 8, they could nearly top that. They're actually a chance, would you believe it? They've won 4 in a row, 5 of their last 7. Off the back of Dallin Watene-Zelezniak starting their sets. Kieran Foran with momentum. Little short balls out to Corey Harawira-Naera. They are looking dangerous as anything, and their defence, the tenacious D of the Bulldogs, is just sensational. They're still only scoring about 14 points a game, but the problem is teams can't get past them. So if you Cowboys, if you can get more than 16, you're going to probably win the game. Now, last week the Cowboys upset the Panthers off the back of the emotion-charged atmosphere of Matt Scott's mild stroke. Now, in respect to Scott, they've retired jersey 8 for this game. Scott Bolton will be wearing jersey 16. And I actually think the emotion of that and their form, they played very well last week. I actually think off the back of Taumalolo, as usual, with Scott Drinkwater adding that touch of class, I actually think the Dogs runs over. The Cowboys by 2. Okay, let's move to Friday. We're across the ditch. It's the Warriors versus the Rabbitohs. 13th versus 5th. Of course, the Rabbitohs have to win. They've got the Roosters next week. So if they want to make top 4, this is a no-brainer. Got to win. Sam Burgess is back. Great news for the Bunnies and great news for Damien Cook. Sam will add that fire, power to their momentum. And off the back of that, watch Damien Cook scoot like he did last week. He blitzed the Broncos. And Cody Walker and Adam Reynolds were back to form. They have a coffee each week, and they had a real honesty session last week. And they knew they had to lift their game, and they did. Great to see Cody Walker back in form. They're going to rip the Warriors apart. The Warriors obviously are out of the running. They're wilting. They've got no grit in defence. Poor Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is trying his ring off, but to no avail. And I actually think by the end of this game, Wayne Bennett might be doing a bit more of the old man shuffle. Rabbitohs by 20. Okay, Friday night, massive game at Suncorp Stadium. 8th versus 6th. The Broncos versus the Eels. Now for Brisbane, Herbie Farnworth's named on the extended reserves bench in jumper 20. Now, after Damien Cook's miraculous try-saver on the big horse, he somehow stopped Corey Oates, who was galloping to the try line dead. It's like he'd broken a fetlock in the last furlong. Anyway, they've got to win. The Broncos would have been in the 8, pretty much guaranteed if they'd won last week, but they must win this week. They've got the Panthers and the Tigers hot on their heels. David Fifita was immense last week. Him and Payne Haas to lead the way. For Parramatta, they've got a home semi-final basically sewn up. Elimination semi-final. Nathan Brown's out, suspended for that shoulder charge last week, but they get Fergie Ferg back. Blake Ferguson is back, and he versus Corey Oates. Oh my God, that'll be an amazing battle of the big men. I just can't see Parramatta having the desire to get over the Broncos. I think the Broncos at home know they've got to win, and I think they will. And a quick aside, people are knocking Darius Boyd for his form. Yes, he's not playing well, but his contract still has 2 years to run. Would you knock back 1.6 million? No. Didn't think you would. I wouldn't either. People are saying Darius should retire and leave a legacy. Well, I'm sorry, Brisbane. You made the deal. Go line it. It's your fault. Broncos to win. Broncos by 4. Okay. 3 o'clock. Let's go to McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle. Now, Newcastle Brown Ale. Their slogan is no bollocks. Well, guess what's coming out of Newcastle when it comes to their brown? Plenty of bollocks, and there's a stench coming out of that brown town, and it ain't ale. Nathan Brown has gone. Christian Rolfe, the assistant, will take charge for the next 2 weeks. Nathan went to training on Monday, and after their pathetic performance against the Tigers last week, they got flogged by 40. He said to the players, "Do you really want me here?" He came back to training the next day, and it was as listless a training performance as the day before. So Nathan knew his time's up. He's lost the players, so he's gone. Anyway, the Knights, fight or flight. Well, they chose not to fight last week against the Tigers, and it looked like they wanted to fly to Bali on the next flight. No September footy they want to play, to be quite honest, it looked like. Now, rugby league players generally don't like getting little darts thrown at them. Ponga and Pearce have copped it all week for their reaction. No empathy for Nathan Brown. So I'm expecting a high-scoring affair, and Ponga and Pearce actually play the house down. For the Titans, Callum Watkins is playing, had a fantastic game last week. Watch him go this week. Now, Philip Sammy. He's now called the Hound because he ran down the Fox Josh Addo-Carr last week. If only the Knights showed some of Philip Sammy's will to win and desire. That was in the last minute of a game. They were lost and they're coming last. Newcastle, have a look at it. Take note. In saying that, I think the Knights, with Ponga and Pearce having their pride pricked, will come back and win. Knights by 24. Okay, the 5:30 game is the match of the round. Sea Eagles versus Storm. 4th versus 1st. And what an absolute humdinger this is going to be. Manly beat Melbourne by 1 point about a month ago down at Amy Park. Now, Manly had a great win over the Raiders last week. Desi has them firing and scrapping and grinding. This is Hasler football. Now, the usual suspects you'd expect to again perform. DCE, the Turbo Brothers. I'm looking forward to the battle of the props. Jesse Bromwich and Nelson Asofomona up against Marty Tapau and Adam Fanua-Blake. But it might be Adam Fanua-Blake crying at the end of this game. He gave it to the Raiders fans last week. Because Cameron Munster, in his words, had a shit game last week. So I think Cameron Munster will be fired up. Craig Bellamy will want a better performance than what they dished out last week. Watch the battle of the ones. Tommy Turbo versus Ryan Pappenhausen. And Brisbane, if you want a halfback, Brody Croft is out again. He's on the outer at Melbourne. Jerome Hughes is playing halfback again. I think the Storm will get the job done in an maybe, is this an upset? I don't know. They haven't got a great record at Lotto Land, but I think they're going to beat Manly. Storm by 4. Okay. Saturday night, we're at the SCG, the Roosters Fortress, 2nd versus 10th. Roosters versus Panthers. The Panthers obviously have to win. But they were pathetic last week against the Cowboys. There was no fight in them. It was like they'd given up on the season. The Roosters have Latrell Mitchell back and are gunning for a top 2 finish. They know they can lock that up with victory here. Ryan Hall's out. No Ryan Hall again. He's going to struggle to get back in the team the way Brett Morris is playing. The only way I can see the Panthers winning is Viliami Kikau having an absolute blinder and James Maloney going ballistic. But I think the Chooks will, via Luke Keary and Cooper Cronk, will actually show Nathan Cleary and James Maloney how you should play halves football. Of the Roosters forwards, they've got too much firepower. Tedesco will slice them apart. Roosters by 18. Okay, Sunday, massive game. We're at Shark Park, PointsBet Stadium, in the Shire, for Paul Gall and the Shire Sheriff's final ever home game. The 4 Raiders, Englishmen, are all starting, and they've played the Roosters, the Storm and Manly in the last 3 weeks. It doesn't get any easier. They now play the Sharks, who have to win to lock up a finals spot in Paul Gallen's final game ever at home. Boy, oh boy, that's tough for the Raiders. What a month. Joey Leilua is out. He's suspended for the knees and the back. I would have dumped him anyway because the amount of silly penalties he gave away. That's the sort of stuff the Raiders haven't been doing this year. Watch the Sharks with Fafita coming off the bench. He ran more metres than anyone last week coming off the bench. I'm looking forward to the battle of the sixes. Jack Whiten versus Sean Johnson. Rocks and diamonds versus the consistent excellency of Jack Whiten. Ryan Sutton was brilliant last week for the Raiders. Elliott, Whitehead and John Bateman, along with Sutton, have a massive, massive effort they've got to put in to lock down Fafita, because the Sharks are going to be fired up for Gallen. I actually think that could tip the scales in the Sharks' favour. The Sharks have to win. It's Gallen's last game. The Raiders must be tired after a massive month. I'm actually tipping an upset, Sharks by 8. And we finish off back at the SCG for the Dragons versus the Tigers. Now, Chris McQueen's been named on an extended reserve bench for the Tigers, but Gareth Widdop and James Graham are both starting. Now, the Tigers have to win their last 2 games to make the finals, and I believe they can. They were brilliant against the Knights, but in saying that, the Knights, of course, were pea-hearted and pathetic. I want to just highlight how good the Tigers' back row's been. Luke Garner and Ryan Madison have been exceptional this year, and they're going to really give it to the Dragons this week. With Benji Marshall up against Gareth Widdop. Gareth's been a bit off. Benji's been brilliant. Another great battle. The old bull, James Graham, versus the young bulls of Thomas McHaley and Oliver Clark for the Tigers. I actually expect the old bull to teach him a lesson this week, but I don't think it'll be enough. I think the Tigers have to win. The Dragons have been really out of sorts, but keep an eye on Tristan Saylor, Wendell Saylor's young fellow, debuted last week at fullback. He's a 5'8" in the making. He has got brilliant ball skills. He had a fantastic debut. Watch him go again. But the Tigers have to win. The Tigers will win. Tigers by 10. So my tips this week are the Cowboys, Rabbitohs, Broncos, Knights, Storm, Roosters, Sharks and Tigers. Enjoy your tipping. Enjoy your rugby league. And I'll see you next week.